You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You know, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war.
To make sure the economy doesn't collapse, I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
You're listening to Common Sense Radio with A.J. Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
Welcome to the program. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. How are you, Susan?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are you, AJ?
I am stuffed like a turkey.
Are you stuffed with turkey or just like a turkey?
Well, we tried some tofu turkey. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Yeah, that's not real turkey.
No.
Oh.
That's Japanese turkey, right?
Is it?
Tofu. I don't know. They like a lot of bean curd over there. Fish, curd, all that stuff.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I didn't sit around talking about politics at the Thanksgiving table. Did you?
You didn't trigger your relatives and your in-laws at the turkey table?
No, not this time. Did you?
You were polite. Well, you know what? My entire family is all conservative, dyed in the wool. So really, there's nothing to talk about because, you know, we can't get into a debate because, you know, we all agree. So, you know, it's a very peaceful table.
Nice. My wife's family, and we live in Oregon, and everyone in her family is conservative except for the one uncle. Literally, the one uncle. And
there's always an uncle.
I know, it is. It's amazing.
Now, is he a rude uncle? Is he like a loudmouth rude uncle, or does he just sit there and, you know, politely come to the house, or does he kind of bring, you know, his own sense of impoliteness when he walks in the door?
He's a keyboard warrior. He didn't come to my mother-in-law's house at the time. He decided to go to his mother's because he did not want to get asked questions, is my opinion.
Oh, good. So you had a very successful Thanksgiving.
We did. We talked about the electric cars. We talked about the health of our family. I mean, the difference with leftists and the right-thinking people. You see what I did there?
Yes, the right-thinking people. That would be the conservative, yes. The correct people. I got it.
Got it.
I'm so right, I've been left behind. It's true.
No pun intended.
No pun intended, yeah.
The difference with us is we do not worship politicians. We worship one God. And New York Mag has an article out that's 10 reasons for liberals to be thankful this year. I kid you not. You want to hear? Oh,
please lay that on me. I have not been able to catch up with that. I want to hear the top 10 reasons liberals have to be thankful.
Coming in at number 10.
All right.
Memories of 2016 will eventually fade.
Okay. All right. Yes. So does that mean that Hillary will eventually be gone?
Well, she's gearing up for 2020.
I know, and they are trying to get her off, like they're trying to get her out like a tick off of a dog, man. They're really trying to work her out. I really think that there is a whole lot of back scene going on because she's an old white lady that nobody likes. Okay, so and I mean, nobody's liked her for a long time. She just happened to be Bill Clinton's, legitimizer. That's exactly what she was. She was the legitimizer. She made him look like he was a happily married man. She delivered an heir, so that means she slept with him at least once. Anyway, and she made sure all of the bimbo eruptions stayed, either silent or in the grave. And so she's a legitimizer. She legitimized Bill Clinton, and he's a likable old Southern boy. and shucks and jives and I'll help you. I like cigars. You like a cigar, Monica? I really like a cigar. What do you think? And I just come over here, honey. It'll be fine. I like thongs too. I mean, that was Bill Clinton, but at least he's affable in a kind of in his own Democrat way. He's very adorable. Yick. And so she's the legitimized. No one wants her though. They're trying to get her out like a tick off of a hound dog. So that'll be interesting. So 2016 will fade. Okay, that's number 10. Reason to be
number 9.
Grateful. Number 9.
Do you have a guess? Do you have a guess for number 9? I could not guess this. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. William T. Barber II, the North Carolina clergyman and leader of Moral Monday's protests against right-wing dominance of his state, is a living reminder that Jerry Falwell Jr. is not the exclusive face of American Christianity.
Oh my gosh, they are really scraping the barrel, aren't they? Because they have to bring up a no-name liberal religious dude. How many liberal religious dudes do you know? Most liberals I know, they don't have a god except for money,
Bernie Sanders.
And power. So they're really scraping Bernie Sanders, yeah. All right, so that's number 9. So they're scraping the barrel. It's number 9. Let's see if it gets
like
better.
the next one. The next couple you're going to really like. Number 8, The Reckoning. Yes. The current firestorm over sexual harassment and assault in government and media is creating some difficult questions and some painful repercussions for liberals as well as conservative leaders. I don't know what conservative leader. I guess Roy Moore is a conservative leader that isn't even elected into Congress.
He's not even elected. Nobody wants him. In either House or Senate. Everybody hates him. So he's the no. That's code. You know what it's code for? Come on, AJ. It's Trump.
Yep, absolutely.
The kitty grabber, right?
Wow.
That's right.
And number 7, your buddy Bob Mueller.
Okay. Yeah, that is actually something they should give big thanks for. They should be down on their knees every day because Mueller is a big problem, and he is very, very partisan, and he is attacking. He's trying to now leverage. What is it? Kelly's son? No.
Flynn.
Flynn, yeah,
he's
Flynn's
leveraging
son.
Flynn.
They're trying to leverage, and it's like, you know what? How mean that is. I mean, when you go after a man's kids, that's
disgusting.
That's dirty, and that's Mulvaney. So I mean, that's Mueller. So that's legit. Okay, yeah.
That's and number 6, there's a competitive Senate race in Alabama. So we have the accused supposedly
might actually win an election here. Oh my gosh, they can be excited. Oh wow, they've just won a couple of those governorships and stuff. So they've won a couple of elections, like 2 elections, and they might win a 3rd election. Ooh. Oh boy, that would turn me on if I were a Democrat, because they've been losing elections for years now. They've
since
been
2012. They've been hammered.
Yes. So, okay, they can be excited about an election. That's good.
It is. And did you see, since they want to talk about the Senate race in Alabama, did you hear that the Democrat Doug Jones is willing to have an abortion all the way up to birth, and then he's ready to take care of the kid?
Huh?
He's
ready to take care of the kid. Well, what? Huh?
This is the logic that they have. He is willing. He's okay with the woman having an abortion all the way up until birth. So
why stop there?
Exactly. But
come on.
After they're born, he's willing to take care of them.
How about euthanasia? Like when you're too old, we're all for euthanasia, right? Euthanasia's cool. So
absolutely.
that is just a function of time. So okay, all right. But he'll go all the way up through birth, even breech birth, right? Like they
that's still up for debate, I think, for him.
Really? Oh man, he's got that much scruples.
Why stop it when they're 3 or 4 years old? If they irritate you, why not there?
They're very inconvenient children. And you know what? They're little carbon footprints. They're very bad for the climate. And haven't you heard now that the biggest thing is everybody, we are making too many babies, and we need to start considering the consequences to the climate and to Mother Earth and Father Sky and all those people. And we need to start. Yeah, I know. And we need to start having fewer babies, which has already started happening, by the way. I had this is an article that it's a British article. So the stats that they have are they're not worldwide. They're kind of Britain. But what they're saying is that women are having fewer children than ever. Women who turned 45 in 2016 had an average of 1.8 children. That's down from their mother's generation, who turned 45 in 1945. At one point, I think 1.8 is like, that begins the death spiral. I mean, I think in Italy and in Japan, they're below that. And so they're not even replacement rate. And I read somewhere that I think that Italy, or is it Japan, there's just no way back. We're not going to have in 200 years, there's not going to be any more Japanese, because there's not enough to continue having babies. So that's working out really well for the birth controllers and the climate cultists. They're on that.
I love it. Can you tell everybody what you were, because you have 7 children, and what did somebody describe you as?
Oh, yeah, I was at a park once with my children. They were young, and they were running around and on the grass and going in and out of the different kind of the areas where like it's like a maze where you run in and out of the bushes and different things. And they were enjoying themselves and trying to look at the little rabbits that were jumping around. And this rather large masculine-looking woman, I don't know if she was self-identified or what she would be today, but she came up, and she would probably be, I don't even know. Anyway, she came up to me, and she was very angry, and she said that this was a contemplative garden and it was not for children. And she called me a breeder. I'm a breeder.
Wow.
Because
Common Sense Radio, breeder.
Yes, I'm a breeder. #breeder. Because I have had more than my fair share of children, you see. I'm making up for all of the liberals who are, they're volunteering for genocide, all these people, really. And you know what? I got to tell you, in the Darwinian world of culture, there are winners and there are losers, okay? And when you have more babies, you're winning. Just the way. That's just Darwin. Yeah, we're winning a lot, and this is how we're going to replace Democrats, because they're gonna birth control themselves out, and they're volunteering for genocide. The problem is they keep selling it to a whole lot of other people and take them down too. And they're using my money to do it, which is what really chaps my hide.
All right, number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Well, tell me what it is again. It's the
number 6 was the competitive Senate
reasons.
Race in Alabama.
Wait, but the top 10 reasons that Democrats have to be grateful or thankful?
Thankful for.
Thankful.
I'll do a recap. Number 10, memories of 2016 will eventually fade. The non-named North Carolina clergyman and leader of Moral Mondays. The Reckoning.
The one religious guy in the whole liberal world. Okay, got it.
Correct.
All right.
The Reckoning of sexual harassment.
Yes, you know what I'm calling that one? That's called, you know how the liberals like to play the race card all the time?
Yes.
Like they're doing it right now with John Conyers and Al Franken, which are, 2 prominent Democrat senators, both of whom have been accused of multiple egregious violations of the fairer sex, grabbing breasts, grabbing buttocks, and all kinds of other things. This is and John Conyers,
Hollywood
of course,
things.
Yeah, and John Conyers' own staff has been reporting on him. And now, of course, they're coming out. The Democrats have been defending Al Franken, saying, "Well, he was a comedian. He's a comedian. He did. That's just he's a comedian. It's okay, and he's kind of sorry." And what are they saying about John Conyers?
Nothing.
He's an icon. No, they are. They're saying
I missed it.
Icon. He's an icon because he's done so much for the. He's a big, he's black, by the way, if you didn't know, or at least he self-identifies as black. And he has advanced a lot of legislation to help, with affirmative action, things like that. So, with race relations, and that's always a good thing if if you're genuine about it. So he is now known as an icon, and that's what Nancy Pelosi mumbled through. And she did a very poor job defending him, but that's the best she can do is a poor job. And so she's saying, of course, well, we need as far as John Conyers, we really need due process. Due process. We should have due process. Poor thing. She can't really string too many words together anymore. But that's what. So what we have a white guy who's a comedian, right? And we have a black guy who's an icon. And there was another gal who came on. I just heard it in passing, and I forgot her name. I'm sorry, but they're already throwing the race card around. They're suggesting that the prosecution or the accusation against different people in the Senate is racially based because they throw around the race card a lot. Now gets to my point. Gets to my point of what this whole sexual harassment business is, and I've told you that's the new attack mode. I'm going to call it something. It is the new racism, but here's my name for it. They're not playing the race card. They're playing the rape card. That's what they're doing. They're playing the rape card. It's a woman, because you say you must always believe the woman. She's always telling the truth. Whether it's Anita Hill, it doesn't matter who it is. We always have to believe the woman. And now the poor Democrats are really caught up because you have to either believe the women, and that would mean we'd have to get rid of Al Franken and John Conyers. But they're such good Democrats and they're votes for us, so we can't do it. So they're having problems. They're getting stuck on the race card and they're getting stuck on the rape card. And I think it's wonderful. Absolutely.
And they quoted the Anita Hill with Clarence Thomas in the list. If you didn't catch it, we're talking the 10 reasons liberals are thankful this year. And number 8 was the reckoning. And that's what Susan's talking about. Kind of like what we named the show, Sex in the City.
That's right.
Yes. And number 7, we went over Bob Mueller. And then the number 6 thankful reason was the competitive Senate race in Alabama. Number 5, the 2018 elections represent liberal hope.
Oh yes, and you know what? If this is not on their list, it should be. You know the top reason that they should be grateful?
Why?
Because of the Senate, the GOP Senate. And Mitch McConnell, they should be getting down and kissing the ground that Mitch McConnell is walking on, because if he doesn't turn this around, the Senate for sure is going to get a shellacking. The GOP. Oh yeah. So they should be giving lots of thanks to Mitch McConnell. If he's not on the list, he should be.
Oh, he's definitely invited to their Christmas party. But Susan, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a break, and on the other side of the break, we will finish the 10 reasons they were so thankful this year. And the top 4 is going to. You're going to
blow your mind.
It's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
I'm ready. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. Catch you on the flip side.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
In every rising of the sun, my purpose was to be thankful to be alive. I was even more thankful for the blessings that came with this life, specifically Virdis, my wife. But that came to an end when Aklavane and her minions violently took her away from me. So my new purpose in this life is to gather all the pieces of the Stone's Heart so I can defeat Aklavane and get back my bride. Join me as I travel to new worlds, making new friends and avoiding old enemies. Read more about my story in the first 2 books of the Stone's Heart series, which are now available on Amazon.com in Kindle format. The first book is The Quest for Savitvarda, and that is followed by The Heart of Pagaila. Stone's Heart is more than a fantasy and a sci-fi quest. It's me fighting to get back my precious wife, despite the overwhelming odds against me. Stone's Heart. Join, explore, and believe.
Welcome back to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. Susan and I have been talking the first segment about the top 10 reasons liberals are thankful this giving season. Susan, can you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Oh, they can find me on social media at Real Susan Swift. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Real Susan Swift. They can also go to my website, which is susanswift.net. Susanswift.net.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm active, and I'm live tweeting tonight at Oregon Redskin. And we use the hashtag Common Sense Radio, hashtag Make Believe Media, and Susan's favorite, hashtag Mug of Wine.
Yeah, we do need a mug of wine to sometimes put up with all of the liberal shenanigans that we have to deal with, don't we?
No kidding. We got through 5 of the top 10 reasons.
I want to hear the rest, and just
I'm
going to
do a recap for everybody.
This. I have not read this, and I'm just reacting based on what you told me. I hadn't read this thing, and you were going to tell me over the break what the other 4 were, and I said no. I want to.
She wants to be surprised, folks. So,
all right.
Number 10, memories of 2016 will eventually fade. William T. Barber II, the North Carolina religious guy. The Reckoning, the sexual harassment. Bob Mueller. There's a competitive Senate race in Alabama. Number 5, the 2018 elections represent liberal hope.
This is true.
And
thanks to Mitch McConnell, as I said up before the break, you know what? They should be having Mitch McConnell as number 1, because Mitch McConnell dragging all of the House has passed 300 bills. The Senate hasn't taken any of them up. It's the Senate that's the problem, and that would be McCain and the lovely ladies from Maine and Alaska. The top 4 or 5 rhinos. So, but that's Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
So all right,
absolutely.
so that's 28. 2018 is hope, and that's a legit thankfulness. They might get the Senate back very, very easily.
Yeah. So number 4, the 2017 elections represented a liberal comeback.
Okay.
That's not a joke.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd.
Say that again. What?
The 2017 elections represented a liberal comeback.
Yes, those were the 2 that they won. Yes, that's what they got all excited about. They actually won a couple of elections.
But Virginia was already a Democrat governor.
And so was New Jersey, right?
Just the wrong letter was in front of their name.
Right.
Jersey,
they basically held their ground. Okay. Yay! Woo!
Number
they should be
3.
thankful for being able to hold their ground. I guess all right.
Yeah.
They won some elections for the first time.
But we got to take our conservative glasses off, because this is why they're thankful, Susan.
They should
be compassionate for them.
No, I don't have to be compassionate for them. They're trying to take all of my money and kill all my children. Are you kidding? I'm not compassionate for these animals, but I will give them the fact that they have a lot of reason to be hopeful. They held on to those 2 seats, and they are looking at hopefully taking out more because of they're playing the rape card, the sexual harassment card, and it's working. And so
really
they're coming up with, and the thing is that, I mean, there are people on both sides of the issue. I mean, I don't know what he did really happened or not, because he is emphatically denying it, and Gloria Allred has refused to produce any of the promised proof. So that's a different scenario from somebody like Al Franken, where we actually have a picture of him going honk honk on some woman. I mean, that's totally different. And John Conyers, where it's his own staff coming forward and saying, I've been sexually harassed and bullied by this man. That's very, very different. But just to be a little bit fair, I don't like being fair to liberals, but just to be a little bit fair, there is a Texas Congressman, Joe Barton. I posted this a couple of days. I mentioned that someone this stupid should not be in charge of other people's money, and he's a Republican.
You know what consistent. He did? That's the thing.
Yeah, what he did is he had I believe he was either divorced or separated, but he was at least legitimately not with his wife. He wasn't cheating on his wife. He was separated or divorced from her, and so he had adult consensual relationships with a member of the opposite sex. So that's all pretty
But did that opposite
right?
person identify? Do we know?
Yeah, I don't know about that. But what the problem was, and the stupid thing that he did, and it's just gross, he pulled an Anthony Weiner.
No.
And if you all remember who Anthony Weiner was, he was that the sexting god who would take a picture of his little erect self in his little undies and send it to a girl. That's what he did, and he got busted for that. Okay, that's Anthony Weiner. That's Huma Abedin's husband. Huma Abedin is the right hand of Hillary Clinton. So that's who Anthony Weiner is. Texas Congressman Joe Barton pulled an Anthony Weiner. He took a picture. He was naked in the picture and took it from a selfie from a very low angle and sent the selfie
on purpose, right? Not
on
just by
purpose.
accident.
This was yeah, absolutely. He got himself in his best light, his best attribute, and sent that.
I tweeted. Oh gosh, that's too fun. Best light. Okay. Hashtag Common Sense Radio. Joe Barton.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, you've got to be stupid to ever take a picture of yourself. Like all of you see these girls who are always taking pictures of themselves in mirrors where they're wearing basically nothing. And, how dumb are you? I'm sorry, but you shouldn't put pictures out there of your nude self. You just shouldn't. So this is Texas Congressman Joe Barton. Yes, he's a Republican, and yes, I'm jumping all over him because that man's just stupid. And he sent this picture to his, Lady Fair, whoever she was. And then now, apparently, years later, we don't know if it's a revenge texting or something, but somebody's got hold of that picture and had started, exposing him, as it were. All right. So I look
no
at that
pun intended.
Oh, pun very much intended. So I look at that and I say, somebody this stupid shouldn't be in charge of other people's money. If you were this dumb with a cell phone, if you can do this much harm to yourself with a cell phone, that is not sexy, by the way, guys.
No way.
One of the shortest books in the world is the Beauty of the Scrotum. Okay, it's a really short book. It's a short read. It's not one of your best. It's not a photogenic thing. Okay, so please, just don't do that. Just please. Do anything else. I mean, we like to see your muscles and, maybe your sideburns if you're into that kind of thing, or maybe your millennial
long nostril hair.
Well, how about your little tubby little teddy bear, facial hair? All of the millennials like to do it. They grow beards all over the place, and try to have that scruffy teddy bear cuddle look. Okay, fine. But please do not take pictures of your best attribute. From in your best light, please don't, because it's really not. It doesn't do anything for us. It really other than repulse. Okay, so please don't. Anyway, but I have gone so far afield from reasons why liberals should be thankful. They should be thankful for Joe Barton. They're not thankful for Al Franken and the icon, John Conyers, who is only an icon because he's black. And Al Franken is only a comedian because he's white. And those are all being excused by Nancy Pelosi because she's a Democrat. But
absolutely.
To get back to our list of all of the fun things, I think we've got, 3 more? 4 more?
We have 3 more, and the third one is going to just it's the biggest. Here, I'll just get to it. Roe versus Wade is still the law of the land. They are actually thankful for murder.
Yes, well, that is their unholy sacrifice. That is the innocent blood on the altar of socialism. And they're very, very, they're very good at getting other people to pay for it. And they are so intolerant. They're so intolerant of my religious beliefs that they force me to pay for murdering children in the womb. I like to say, I think liberal women have equal rights to life. I think we ought to save all those unborn liberals, don't you?
I think we should save every baby.
That's right.
I have a story I'll tell you real quick. It'll be quick. My wife, we have a 3-year-old. That's our youngest, and there was a lady at work that was pregnant at the same time as my wife. I think her baby was due a month before ours. We would go back and forth, tell stories, about each other laughing and then peeing their pants because they sneezed or something like that. A typical beautiful thing of what pregnant women do is it's just it's a miracle. It's one of the most amazing things of growing a child in a woman's body and seeing that baby come to life and see him grow up. I mean, I think it's amazing. That's just me because maybe I'm a crazy religious right-wing nut. And I love
you're a normal man. You're an American man, and you're proud of children, and you love them, and that's one of the things that make men absolutely wonderful.
It is. So also, we went home because we both work at the school. She worked in the kitchen, and she went home over summer break. And one of her colleagues came in all torn up and everything like that. Said, "Oh my gosh, Ravi, her baby's in the hospital," which was at OHSU, one of the premier hospitals in the state. And I said, "Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on?" Well, there was something wrong where they were forced to give birth early. I don't know what the condition was. It was serious enough that she was at OHSU.
Oh dear.
Word got a couple weeks later. Okay, the baby's getting better. The baby's getting better. Suddenly, 3 to 4 weeks later, the baby had went to see Jesus.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
I know. So she came back to work about 2 to 3 months after that, and I actually looked at her almost every day, and I almost cried. There was the first couple weeks I'd look at her. I couldn't even look at her. It was just a compassion in any individual, and these people are celebrating in 2017, the right to kill babies. It's just, it agonized me.
Yes, and but they play a very demonic game by using words to mask what it is. They don't acknowledge that it's life. They say it's a woman's choice.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And you see,
reproductive rights.
Yes, I believe that women have choices. But your choice stops at my body, right? Just like your body, you got your choice with your body, so do I, and so does a baby. A baby is a person too. And a little baby girl has her own rights. And so the mother's rights stop at the womb. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And you can adopt, you can do a lot of other things, but you should not kill your own baby. You shouldn't do it. But you know what? I can understand why liberals should be celebrating that, because that gives them a whole lot of money and power, and they run $350 million, or is it billion? I'm sorry, I lose track. How much money goes through Planned Parenthood? Do you know? I mean, it's like annually
too much.
They get to launder, taxpayer dollars through Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood, I'm sure, contributes to many, many different Democrat campaigns. And so it's a money laundering industry where you come in, the taxpayers' dollars pay to kill a child, and then that money comes back to reelect the very same Democrats who, support Planned Parenthood.
Yes. Okay, let's get to number 2. The number 2 most thankful Obamacare lives.
Yes, that's a very, very, they should be thankful for that, because that's still messing up 1/6 of the economy. And it just shows you how ineffective Mitch McConnell and the GOP are. They are not able to. This was one of the singular promises that Republicans have been making for, 8 years. They said, we will repeal Obamacare. Give us all the power. We will repeal Obamacare. It's going to be a George Bush moment. Read my lips, no new taxes. You watch, the campaigns in 2018 are already going to say, we're going to repeal Obamacare. Those campaigns for Democrats are already in the can, and what they're going to be saying is, see, they couldn't do it because we were victorious. Vote for us again, and we will save Obamacare. They should be very grateful that still is in place, because it gives them so much control.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And the number one, are you ready? Susan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You don't have your hashtag mug of wine. You better put that down, because I think you might fall out of your seat on this one.
Oh, no.
The U.S. Constitution endures. I'm not making that up either. Yes.
They think that it's enduring? Well, it is still, it's being shredded, but it does still endure, I guess. Okay. All right.
And that's where we'll pick that up on the other side of the break, because I want to talk, and I know actually you want to talk it more than I do, is the Consumer Finance Protection Division. Is that right? Protection Division? Yes, and it's a mouthful, but I'll explain why it's a big deal. It's the swamp. It is a big piece of the swamp. Absolutely. So stay tuned, guys and girls and cisgender, whatever. We don't care what gender you are, and you're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network.
Hi, we're the Bells of Liberty. You can listen to us on Lanterns Radio Network.
New shows air every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
You can find us on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, and iHeartRadio, and on Twitter at Bells of Liberty. See you then.
Hi, it's Blake Johnson, and you can listen to my show, The Blake Johnson Program, every Monday evening at 9/8 Central on lanterns.buzz. Here, I'll delve into the news of the day and anything related to politics, movies, music, faith, and more. Nothing is off limits. This is our meeting ground for conservatives, libertarians, Christians, all liberty lovers. The Blake Johnson Program, every Monday evening at 9/8 Central, only on lanterns.buzz.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Holloway, host of the HoloNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network from Phoenix, Arizona. And you can catch our show every week live at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. For those of you who live in Central Time, I don't know what that is because I don't feel like doing math. No, I'm kidding. It's 6 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, every Sunday here on the Lanterns Media Network, where we hold the line against the night and lift up our light to shine it into the darkness. Don't miss it. Again, that's the HoloNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network.
Hello, America. Michael Murphy, Voice of Reason here. I hope you'll join me Thursday evenings live at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. See you there.
Welcome back to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. You have Susan from SusanSwift.net or at Real Susan Swift on the Twitterverse. And I'm AJ Davis at Oregon Redskin. I have an offensive Twitter name, and I hope you enjoy it.
Are you a Redskin, or are you like Pocahontas there, who self-identifies as a Native American Indian when she's not? This is Senator Warren, and she pretended that she was she had Native American heritage so that she could get into Harvard. So are you like that? Are you a Redskin like that, or no?
Oh, man, I haven't identified yet. I need to figure out what I am.
You can be like Rachel Dolezal. She was a Democrat white chick, and she wanted to self-identify as black, and so she did. And she got a tan, and she made her hair look, she dressed different ways, and she tried to pass herself off as black because that way I think it was NAACP, she had a local position, and she kind of got power there.
She had a pretty high up position too, didn't she?
Was
she like vice
so
president or something, that division?
If you can just self-identify, I can self-identify as an important person that way. See, you just have to pick the right political tack. So you can be Senator Warren and pretend that you're a Native American Indian, or you could be Rachel Dolezal and pretend that you're a member of a minority group when you're not, or you can pretend that you're a girl or pretend that you're a guy, depending on which bathroom you want to use today. And it's all good because if you're a Democrat, then you can
be
pretend
whatever. You can be an icon.
Yeah, but you know what? There really only are two genders. It's either XX or XY, and that's genetic, and that's your chromosome. Yeah, there's a handful of people who, like chimeras and things, where they have an XX and Y, and that's called a genetic abnormality. But that's not how most of human race is. So there really only are two genders. There's male or female. Anything else, you're just confused.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, because it's Monday. We're giving you the news to prepare you for the week, folks, until next Monday. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is huge in the news right now. It was created as part of the Dodd-Frank reform. I know you love those reforms, right, Susan? Those were great.
Oh, yeah, because that's Barney Frank. You remember old Barney Frank,
I know.
Right?
The Barney Frank.
Another sexual
predator.
Puritan from
another guy having sex in the city, right?
Yeah, he was having a relationship with somebody he called, I believe it was called the
Hustler.
The Hustler, because
right.
When it came out that he's gay and his lover / partner was running a male prostitution ring out of his office, out of his house. And of course that was totally okay until it came out in the news, and then Barney Frank started calling this his beloved the Hustler. So that's old Barney Frank. And Chris Dodd, we know about him. He's one of the people in the waitress sandwich. And if you don't remember that was Ted Kennedy, the Lion of the Senate, and Chris Dodd, who's a senator forever. They would joke about how they would make a waitress sandwich. They'd get a waitress and they'd smush between, the two. So they're on both sides and kind of smashing her together in between them. That's called a waitress sandwich. So these sexual harassers are they're part of the Dodd-Frank Act, and that act, it was the beginning. What happened is this was in 2008. It started the 2008.
Was that around TARP?
Bundling, and it took what it did is it bundled a lot of worthless loans, and the government what Dodd-Frank did is it put the government in charge of lots of loans. They started being able to bully the banks, and they would go to the banks and tell the banks, all right, you must loan money to people who can't afford to buy their own homes because we think it's good. Well, why? Because that's the same as giving money to Planned Parenthood, right? If you're gonna force banks, private companies, to lend money to people who are not going to be able to pay it back, where do you think that money goes? Well, that's how you buy votes as a Democrat. You're telling people, well, you can't afford to buy a house, that's all right, because we're going to make the banks lend it to you anyway. So that paved the way for the market crash, the property tax. The property bubble in 2008 when it started coming crashing down because all of these loans were worthless and they bundled them and had to then, repackage and resell them. This is why we had the market tanking in 2008. Well, the Dodd-Frank Act, part of it, that is what created the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. That's a mouthful. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. All right. It's a huge, big
disaster.
Yes, it's a bureaucracy created under the Dodd-Frank bill, and it's unconstitutional because it sets up this entire unelected bureaucracy that is not responsible to the Congress or anybody, and it just gets to do what it does without really a lot of oversight, and so it's all set up and running. And the very first director, I think, was Richard Cordray. He was installed by Obama. And what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau does is it harasses, banks. That's what they do. It tells banks what to do and how to do it, right?
Can I stop you right there?
Yes.
I guarantee you it's not harassing the bank that Barney Frank is on the board of directors now. Signature Bank. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I set the stage clear for everyone. I just wanted to make sure we're being consistent.
Yes.
All but one bank.
All right. And so Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is this big, huge, it's a growth of government. It's like another tumor, right? It's grown and it's not very responsive. Director Richard Cordray resigned, and he was the first director. He was set in there by Obama, so he knows what to do, right? He resigned Friday, and what he wanted to do is he made his chief of staff, Leandra English, the acting director, because he wanted to continue basically having control over that. Well, what's happened is instead, Trump is actually taking this on. If you imagine the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, it is a large part of the swamp that controls money, right? And it's infested with, liberal policies and liberals. Trump has picked an interim director to go in and take over the agency since the director decided he was going to resign, right?
And I love him.
And so what he did is that he appointed Mick Mulvaney. Mick Mulvaney is from his staff, and Trump has assigned Mick Mulvaney to take over the reins at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, this didn't sit well with Chief of Staff Leandra English because she wants her job, right? So she's going to court now, and what she's done is she said, I am the legitimate heir because Director Richard Cordray, on his way out the door, appointed me, and I'm the interim, and until the Senate approves a new person like Mick Mulvaney, I am the acting, chief of staff. Well, Mick Mulvaney sent out a memo saying, no, I am. And so they're having an infighting over who's going to lead this. Eventually what will happen is Trump is going to be able to appoint that because the Senate is going to confirm it, and this will all be taken care of. But I thought it was very brave of Trump to take this on. This is how he's draining the swamp. Now, here's what would be better, because that's a populist move, and it is something that he can do. Here's what would be better, which our friend Mitch McConnell could be a real big piece of. You know what they could do? They could repeal the entire Dodd-Frank Act, and they could get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
They won't,
They
though.
could actually shrink. No, of course they don't. They're not going to do that because they want to control our money. They're just going to do it better. That's what these rhinos do. So instead of, we're all kind of distracted with the, it's Richard Cordroy and Mick Mulvaney and Chief of Staff Leandra English. Oh, let's watch the shiny objects. What we should be focusing on is, excuse me, how about we cut this entire Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was a boondoggle created by the Obama White House and this is when the liberals were in charge of the House and the Senate when they had those 2 years. Look what they did. We have that power right now. We could repeal this. We could repeal taxes. We should take taxes down to a flat rate, get rid of everything. Just leave the deductions, everything in place the way they are, so you're not going to rattle the markets for, the real estate market or anything, but just cut everybody's tax rate. Why not do that? They won't do that. They're not going to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're going to continue playing along and thinking that this is just fine. Meanwhile, this is an unconstitutional taking of power away from the people because it's not responsive to the executive branch. It's not. I mean, it's just out there. And people aren't, we're not thinking, we're thinking that, oh, well, we have to have a new director for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. No, we don't. We need to get rid of that bureau. What we should do is we should start shutting it down. We should give Leandra English about 30 days to wrap it up and just say, check out, you see me later. And we're going to repeal Dodd-Frank and start freeing up the banks. And why is the government in charge of telling banks where they can lend money? Because it's not fair. I'm sorry. I thought it was their money. Is the bank like a corporation and they can decide to lend money to whomever they wish? I mean, don't we already have laws in place that if you are being racist in your lending of money, we can go after you? So that's covered. I mean, if you're being sexist or racist or, if you're breaking one of those laws, there's a ton of lawyers who can clean that up. But why in the world do we have another agency that tells private companies what they must do with their money? Answer me that, Batman.
I can answer that. They're responsible for protecting us from those greedy, mean-spirited bankers who force us to borrow their money. That's why.
To buy our houses. Exactly.
Because they buy our cars, buy our TVs.
Car, right? When we want a new car, we go to the bank and we say, can we take out a loan? And we're just being forced and blackmailed into doing that, right? Because,
absolutely.
And so we need to shut down all the banks. And so that way we can just go to government and we can get a free phone and we can get a free car and we can get a free everything. And big
I'll be
daddy
T-bone
government
steak if I get my EBT card.
That's right. I'll get a free phone and I can check my EBT balance on my cool iPhone. That's what I can do.
I love it.
Because that's so cool.
I love it. You know, one thing that I think that's really irritating the liberals and the progressives, well, one of the same, is whenever Mick took over, he imposed a hiring freeze and halted any new regulations, which I love. And I think we're both looking at the same article. It's over at Reuters. That they reported it about 3 hours ago, November 27th, and it's just, I mean, it's perfect. I love the back and forth between Mick Mulvaney and Lindsay.
Well, you should be proud. You should be pretty proud of Trump because everywhere he can, he is taking on the establishment and he is trying to shrink government. Our problem is the Senate, and that is the GOP and the rhinos, and that's Mitch McConnell. And I tell you, those guys.
He's been a problem for the last, for 20 years.
Yeah. Yep. I know what we need to do. Oh, you know what? I was because I came across something. All of these guys like Al Franken and John Conyers, these are sexual abusers, and they're being allegedly abusing their staff, etc. And all of these, apparently there's been $17 million paid out in hush-hush money to staffers in Congress who have been sexually harassed over years, right? There's that story that broke in Breitbart, right? So there's $17 million. This is our money that is being paid because congressmen or their staff are sexually harassing people, right? So I have a great idea. There's a new sex robot doll, all right?
We would save a lot of payouts.
Yes, you know what I that's what I was thinking is I think we need to buy every member of Congress one of these digital, robot sex dolls so that way they can harass the robots. And unless until the robots get artificial intelligence, they can't say no, I guess. And so it'll be all fine. I think we just save a lot of money on that. But look, and at the end of the day, all of these men who buy these dolls to play with, because they're dolls, it's not a doll. It's an action figure. Okay, let's get that clear.
They can have one at home and one in the city.
Well, this is true, and they can take them and they can go shopping. I mean, what would you buy your doll, your girl doll? Right? What would you buy her? You could buy her dress-up clothes. You could buy... I mean, batteries are a given, right? That would be in her stocking, right? We need batteries for Christmas. You can buy all kinds of things for your little sex doll. I mean, clothing.
It's not a doll. It's an action figure.
I know it's not a doll. It's an action figure. So all of these beta males who are playing with sex dolls, you know what? They're fine, and they're not reproducing. So I'm sure the climate cultists are totally happy with them because they're not making little carbon footprints. So they're totally cool. I just want to make sure that every member of Congress who needs one of these sex dolls gets one, because that will stop all of the sexual harassment. I think at least all of the Democrats in the Senate and the House, they need the sex dolls. That's the best thing.
Maybe some Republicans like Joe Barton. I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about the pictures because you wouldn't be sending text messages.
Yeah, this is true. I think we should take away his phone right now.
Maybe we should start a GoFundMe page for the representatives.
I think we should. Can we get a GoFundMe page to make sure that every representative has the ability to buy a sex robot, a doll, #Dolly, because it's not just for beta males anymore. They're not just for beta males. They're for Congress too. And you know what? We should probably fund one and send one to Al Franken, and that way he can, go honk honk all day long. And John Conyers, everybody, they all need one.
I love it.
And like I said, with extra batteries.
Okay, I'm getting a GoFundMe page, and Susan sent a wonderful meme over to me, and I will tweet it out. She shared it on Facebook. I shared it on Facebook. It's a male individual with a. It's not a doll. It's an action figure.
Well, it is, right?
You're absolutely right, Susan.
That's how that was G.I. Joe. That was back in the day, when boys weren't, quote unquote, allowed to play with Barbie dolls, and girls had Barbie dolls, which were actually, in the beginning, they were sex toys too, the Barbie dolls, right? And then they gave it to little girls. And then boys, they'd have the Ken doll, and that didn't really work. And so they went to G.I. Joe, with the 8-pack, not a 6-pack, but an 8-pack, G.I. And it was not sold as a doll. It was sold as an action figure. So
I think that's how we need to market it. We can, Susan, we could be millionaires. I'm telling you what.
I think that ship has already sailed, because we did not come up with these dolls, and they are pretty good looking too. They look better than the real thing.
But we could come up with some funny title, members of Congress only. Maybe we can slap on them.
Where are you going to put that tat?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think better not beat that dead horse anymore. Okay.
No, not at all. Well, it's almost that time. I can't believe how much fun we had. We covered the 10 thankful reasons.
Well, there's one more good thing that we should say is that Luis Gutierrez.
Oh, breaking.
That is, about an hour ago, a little bit before we went on, Democrat Luis Gutierrez.
Arriba!
He's very into the immigration, and, he doesn't like the wall. He wants, immigration 24/7 every day. He's not going to run, apparently. He's not going to run for re-election. He's going to take his money and go home.
No.
So that'll open up another race for hopefully a principled conservative. Let's hope so.
Let's hope
Bye, Luis. Or should we say... No, we should say adios, Luis.
Adios. And I say
Feliz
adios
Navidad.
to you, Susan.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Prospero año y felicidad. That's what I say.
All right, folks, that's the end of the show tonight. We will catch you next Monday. You're listening to common sense.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.